All right. Hey YouTube, I'm Lucky, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the most insane rocket in Destiny 2. That's going to be the Time Lost Hazen Vengeance, coming this Tuesday with Master Vogue. This thing is going to be way crazier than you can possibly imagine. If you haven't already thought about it or looked at it in light.gg, this thing is going to be actually nuts. This is going to be the craziest rocket in the game, and I'm going to explain this nice and slow and simple, so that way all of the Karens in the comments can follow along because they're a little bit slow. So the reason why the Hazen Vengeance is going to be really strong, I'm going to show you here, is because I have another weapon right here that's an Adept weapon. It's the Adept Swarm. And you'll notice on it that you can place mods that you can't place on normal weapons. These are the Adept mods. So right here you have Boss Spec, which you would often use. You could use Minor Spec, Major Spec. Major Spec is the one that works against champions if you're doing Grandmasters, so keep that in mind. And one thing you'll notice is that with these Adept ones, you have a variety of new mods. A lot of people already know this, but you've got Adept Stability, Adept Range, Handling, Reload, Adept Mag, Counterbalance, Targeting, Icarus Grip, and Adept Big Ones. And that mod right there is the reason why the Time Lost Hazen Vengeance is going to be insane, is because you'll be able to slot the Adept Big Ones. Now, what Adept Big Ones does is it actually combines Boss Spec and Major Spec together. They don't stack, but they just work as if you had both of them on at the same time, which is nice because ordinarily you'd have to swap. You'd put on Boss Spec, then you'd put on a Major Spec, and you wouldn't want to really do that throughout the encounter. Not to mention you can't do that through the Grandmasters because your gear is locked, so keep that in mind. But with this weapon, you could put on Adept Big Ones on the Adept Hazen Vengeance, that is, or the Time Lost technically, right? And that's why that weapon is going to be insane. But even more so than that is because there's a god roll out there that I can't even describe as a god roll. This would be like a double god roll, if that makes any sense. A super god roll. We're going to need a new term. We're going to need new terminology, because what this is going to be is a double augmented weapon. I have the weapon pulled up here in light.gg, okay? This is the Hazen Vengeance Time Lost. And what double augmented means is that it has two perks in each slot right here. So essentially you could get a roll. The Uber God roll, or maybe just the true God roll, right, would have Vorpal and Lasting Oppression. Now, obviously, you can't equip them at the same time, so keep this in mind. Bear with me. Follow me with here for just 1 second, okay? You can't equip them at the same time, but based on each encounter, you can swap them if you can find it necessary or need to, right? So, like, for example, Lasting Impression has a timed delay, but it does more damage than Vorpal to bosses even. So keep that in mind. So sometimes Lasting Impression might be the better rocket option. So on one Hazen Vengeance Time Lost, you could have both of these in the slot, and then you could swap back and forth within the encounter, unless it was a Grandmaster. Obviously, you can't swap around in a Grandmaster, but keep that in mind in a non-Grandmaster activity. And then in this slot right here, you could have auto-loading and this overflow perk, which puts 2 in the magazine by picking up Special or Heavy. So ordinarily, you'd probably rock like Overflow Vorpal, right? But if you are in an area or in an instance where you can't really walk over ammo and get that overflow to proc, then just slap on that auto-loading. That's going to be amazing. Anyone who gets this roll, I actually hate you, because this is going to be like the 0.0001% chance of getting this roll to drop. You would have to have auto-loading and overflow, Vorpal and Lasting Impression, all 4 of the most powerful rocket perks on one rocket. And then, of course, we need to throw impact casing in there, so that way we get that little bit more damage. It doesn't do a whole lot, but it does just enough. You know what I'm saying? It's the little cherry on the top, impact casing, right? That roll right there, if you get that, I am angry at you, okay? That is the roll to chase after. Will this weapon be out this Tuesday? I don't know the exact rotation of the way things Bungie is doing it, but with time, this weapon will become available to you, and that will be the most sought after weapon by a long shot. And the reason why is because, like, with Fatebringer, for example, you could have a double god roll, right? Where you could have a PvP and a PvE roll, which would be kind of cool. But in PvE, for example, you just end up throwing Minor Spec on the Fatebringer anyways, which is not an Adept mod. So it's not going to be nearly quite as sought after, if you get what I'm saying. So this will be like the true it gun to chase for in terms of time lost weapons. I've looked at all the other ones. We have 6 weapons in total. The Fatebringer, the Praetus to Revenge, the Vision of Confluence, the Found Verdict, the Corrective Measure, and the Hazen Vengeance. Now, out of all of these, obviously the Fatebringer, you could have that double god roll, the PvP, PvE god roll combined. That would be kind of sick. The Praetus to Revenge, you don't really use this in PvP too much. I know some people hate me for saying that. They say use the high handling Praetus to Revenge. It's really good, but honestly, it's not quite as good and it's a 140, so really don't really use this thing in PvP. In PvE, it is pretty good, and the Vision of Confluence doesn't really have any place in the current meta right now, being a 180 scout. 200 RPM scouts just outclass them. The Found Verdict would be crazy with this, because you actually could put the Adept handling, but Bungie has just announced that they're nerfing this aggressive frame shotgun, so likely the Found Verdict won't be very good, even if you got that absolutely crazy roll, which is very sad to see. And the Corrective Measure will also be one definitely worth chasing for in terms of time loss weapons, because machine guns are going to get buffed next season, so you might as well get a God Roll Corrective Measure time loss, so that way you can take it into the next season and be an absolute boss. So that's a wrap on this video though. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Make sure to subscribe, smash the like button. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Later.